I am very happy to have Brian Pouchet with me this morning. Brian, a very good morning. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, good morning, Rennie. Pleased to be here.
It is good to have you here. I was just laying out, all of this happened quickly because in looking at what I see happening with this situation in East Port of Spain, I said, we must come and talk about it. Your expertise allow you to speak on this. Speak to us, firstly, on your experience in the area of security.
Okay, my background has always been in security. My past job, well, presently I have multiple services. So that immediately put me out of having a day-to-day job. My prior job was as the group security manager of the Antamakal group. Okay, now it's one, if not the largest conglomerate in the Caribbean. You're talking about 8 countries, 9,500 employees. Okay, roughly 120 different facilities. Okay. I have investigated many things, including attempted murder, that sort of thing, but to the employees in St. Kitts and in another islands. Take for instance in St. Kitts, if there's a crime and you report it, I mean they're so related, so tightly related that you will be ignored if you happen to be the perpetrator happens to be the cousin of the senior police officer.
And what happened is they brought you in because you were impartial eyes who could look at this differently. I wanted to lay that backdrop. We have laid that. I want to ask you now, this situation as it relates to gangs making life unbearable for people who are living in areas. And now you say that this is nothing new because this, as you mentioned to me early this morning, you take you back to the Manning administration and we had this sort of situation. How do you deal with a situation like this is my question to you.
All right. This situation has been going on so long. Even before Mr. Manning's prime ministership, it has been going on a long time. The thing is, you can't mollycoddle these people. You can't do it. Now, I will find that they have he was a good boy section. Okay? That to clarify that for you. You will find that a lot of these guys that commit murders and that sort of thing, their mother would come after and say, but he was a good boy. Okay? And that's I'm sorry, but in this country, we should not be taking that thing, that he was a good boy, and that's just nonsense. So the bottom line is that we have our own citizens under pressure from these miscreants. Okay, and if something is not done immediately, it's going to even get bigger than how it is right now. Now, you remember Gary Griffith, who was a former Minister of National Security. Gary Griffith would espouse the broken windows theory. Now, we have all gotten that till we set up a hearing about the broken windows. Because that theory, in use, the time for that has long since passed. Okay? The windows have already been broken. Urban decay has started, and it has started to the point now where you pick up the newspaper and you read about a family being ejected from their home by bandits and by miscreants. I mean, it's disgusting, and we should not ever allow that to
well, that is what raises the question to me here, Brian, because as we see, the managing director of the HDC, he did not agree to their terms, but he met with them for conversation. You must have conversation with these people. I mean, because a lot of the residents are disquieted, according to the report, because he met with the perpetrators who were making their life a living hell, but did not meet with them. At some point, you do have to meet with these people. Either that, or you bring up the so-called paddy wagon, and you put everybody inside of that and take everybody out to Bagay. But that could be a short term as against a long-term solution, not so?
Yeah, that is too short. You must have a dialogue with them. You must. I'm not saying I'm going to take them into the Hyatt and buy a 8-course meal for them. I'm not doing that. But you definitely need to have dialogue with them, because you need to understand where they are coming from. Remember this. You must have what I do regularly is a threat and risk assessment. So that is part of the whole threat and risk assessment. You've got to find out what's the problem, who's creating the problem, why are they creating the problem, and how are they creating the problem, in order to find out how the problem can be solved.
But do you get to the point where, for instance, as has been proffered before, you have folks who are just not willing to do anything more than 50%, but they are making representation that they should get work, as in this case, away from the process? The HDC folks, mind you, let me make clear, I'm making it very clear that they are not going to acquiesce to gangsterism or terrorism, making it very clear that they have a process. That process will stay in place, and those who are looking for work should follow that process.
Yes, no, I agree with that. I stand by that policy whatsoever. I mean, you want a job as a contractor, you have got to provide us with the information that we require. You know, there's no shortcuts. It's time for us to put aside the whole politics. You know, we got to put that aside. You know, I mean, and focus on taking our country forward, creating better opportunities for our people, as well as taking care of our people. You can't expect someone to get a HDC house or apartment and only to be thrown out and taken over by, you know, these people. They can't.
Well, you know, Brian, one of the reasons that I was so happy that you took the time to be with us is because here's the scenario. I know that you don't work for the HDC, that's clear. I know that you don't have, that there's no panacea for this problem. However, as a security specialist yourself, I need to find out, how do you treat with this situation, particularly, specifically this area. The police went there, it is reported, with the line ministry, and they moved out people. But as soon as they left, the people got back in. Not only did they get back in, but they turned upside down the office of the HGC and created more place for them to live or to settle. My question is, how do you, from a security standpoint, go about doing this in a permanent way? Yes, dialogue and finding a solution is one thing, but in the interim, what do you do to make these occupants of this housing complex feel more comfortable?
I'm sorry, but I can't, and I don't know. Okay, I haven't been up to date in how they did it, when they did it, why they did it. And you see the terms it was reported. I have very little faith in the print, in the media print, the print media. Very little faith in it. They will tell you one thing, that it is reported that so and so happened. When you follow it up, it's completely the opposite.
Touche. No argument on that. But you will concede that we have a problem in a couple of these housing developments, and the question still remains: how do you get in and deal with it over a long period, as against just moving in, giving a threat to them, and then the next thing they move back in after, while you having conversation, because they are having conversation.
Yeah, but as I told you, threat and risk assessment. You got to find out what are all the threats, how are they threatening, you know, what makes it a threat. You know, and go through everything. You have to go through a whole threat and risk assessment. When you have that, when you go through all of that, at the end of your report, you will see exactly what has the priority, and then you assign the priority to it. So if you have a problem at this location, deal with it. But you see the problem in, as I say, well, in East Port of Spain, it's not just East Port of Spain, because it spreads out. So it involves Beaton, it involves Laventille, you know, certain parts of it. You know, so I mean, you can't take a part into account. You have to take the whole scenario into account. You can't just say, oh, East Port of Spain have a problem, let's just deal with East Port of Spain. No. You see, that's the problem we had with the ill-fated state of emergency by the previous government. Where they just picked up and snatched people off the street, and that was it. Now, I know that most of the people that were turned bandits and that actually do illegal items, what they would do is, police coming down in my area, well, good, I'll move to the next area. And that's what happened. So instead of cleaning up everything, what we did is push the problems at another location.
Right. Well,
And we can't have that. We can't have that with the East Port Spain problem right now.
Yes, we are at a disadvantage, as you said, because we only have the report. But I know I leaned heavily on the fact that you've been involved in this, and I'm sure you have seen situations like this. And I am just concerned for the folks immediately, because if from the way it seems, from the complaints reported, and I know you don't like that, but from what's reported here is that police got there, they came there with the relevant authorities, and they just returned to the same thing. I was wondering if there is any temporary camps you can set up, satellite police, put up some high-rise observation towers, something, and cordon off areas in there, to stop people from feeling that they're living in Beirut, for instance.
Yeah, well, what was attempted? Take, for instance, in New York, what was attempted? They attempted to put police officers in apartments, okay, which would lessen, at least they thought that it would lessen the criminal activity. But, I mean, how many police officers are you going to put in to deal with a gang containing 50 men or 60 men or 20 men? You know, one police officer is not going to solve the problem. And you see, it's not going to be solving this problem. It's not going to be a police solving it alone. It's going to be everyone. And if everyone isn't involved, well, it's not going to be solved. It's never going to be solved. We all have a part to play in this. We all have a part to play in it.
I may have been a bit unfair to you, Brian, because I know exactly what you're saying. I agree with you. I was just so struck by the people who live in this area having to have where gangs are saying either the authorities treat with us or we will continue because they have put people out. We will continue to put people out and make your life a living hell. It disturbed me greatly. Brian, I appreciate you taking the time to be with me this morning, man. Brian?
Yep.
Yes, there is no short-term solution. I hear what you're saying and agree with you.
Yeah.
And you must have a political discussion. You must have a political solution as well as a law enforcement solution.
Yeah, well, I mean, the political side of it, I want no part of. I deal with boots on the ground. I mean, it would be nice for somebody to say, hey, why we don't send the army in? No, the army is not the police service. You know, and it's going to do a lot more damage than sending in the police. You know, it's going to be a lot more damage if you send in the army. Because the army they aren't trained to be community soldiers. They're trained to do a soldier's job.
Well, that's why they're normally put out there under the instructions of the police who are trained to treat with the public.
Yeah.
Brian Pouchet, thank you so much for taking the time to be with me this morning, man.
No problem at all, Rennie. I enjoyed it.
Truly enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Have yourself a wonderful morning.